Маємо наше науково-педагогічне стажування. Щиро дякуємо усім без виключення учасникам з України, які виявили зацікавленість прийняти участь в науково-педагогічному стажуванні, яке організовується Куявським університетом за підтримки Центру українсько-європейського наукового співробітництва. Також щиро дякуємо всім особам, які виявили бажання та вступили до лав членів Центру українсько-європейського співробітництва. Центр українсько-європейського співробітництва співпрацює з Куявським університетом у місті Влоцлавеку у Республіці Польща, починаючи з 2018 року. Це вже наш черговий захід, присвячений підвищенню кваліфікації науково-педагогічному стажуванню вчених України. Сьогодні з вами будуть працювати співробітники Куявського університету. Дозвольте їх, будь ласка, представити. Першим буде викладати лекцію доктор Marcin Miziołek, сертифікований коуч та наставник. Він поділиться власним досвідом на тематику mindfulness, визначення усвідомлення теперішнього моменту як підхід, що набирає розмаху у Західній Європі. Після нього виступить наш давній друг, партнер, начальник міжнародного відділу Куявського університету, керівник курсів підвищення знання іноземних мов, досвідчений експерт у Польщі з питань освіти дорослих та дистанційної освіти Joanna Skiba з лекцією на тему «Успішне навчання від теорії до практики». З вашого дозволу передаю слово доктору Marcinu Miziołeku. Marcin, please speak.
Sorry about that. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me again. I'm very happy that I can again share some thoughts with you. Today, mindfulness, an approach which is becoming more and more popular in Western Europe. I think it's becoming more and more popular in the world in general. So I think it's a very good topic to be discussed, to actually to raise it, to talk about it. Mindfulness, if we are to explain it somehow, this concept, actually the shortest way to explain it is being here and now. Here and now. And of course, I love to ask questions to participants. So the first question I can ask you is, how often are you here and now? With awareness, of course. This is the key. How often are you here and now? Of course, answer this question to yourselves, and further you'll find whether this answer was proper. Of course, it was proper, or it is proper because it is your answer. But we will see what this mindfulness approach actually is. From a psychological point of view, our heads usually are not in here and now. We tend to think about the future. We tend to think about the past. As people in general, we try to recreate the past in our heads. We try to find a solution what actually would have happened if we had done something in a different way. Do you sometimes have that you actually think that you could have done something in a different way? You would have done something in a different way if something had happened? Does it, bother you sometimes that you are thinking about past? This is actually the first thing I want to emphasize, because this is what people do. And there is the emotion which is connected with recreating the past in our heads, in our minds. It is usually fear. It is usually regret. We, as people, we regret something. Of course, if something that happened in the past was delightful, we tend to miss it, regret that it isn't here with us now. So we have some kind of projections in our heads about the past. So mindfulness, the approach wants us to, let's say, stick to here and now, to this very moment, not to raise the levels of stress connected with, as I said, thinking about the past, and another thing with anticipating the future. When we think about our goals, just focus on your goals. Think if you have any goals, major, minor, and how do you feel when you think about them? Do they make you feel positive? Do they make you feel negative? Do they make you feel bad in some way? Or you think about them, as I said, in a positive way? So also when we anticipate the future, when we think about the future, according to researchers, a great amount of people is afraid of future, is afraid. They think that something bad can happen. They think that, let's say, if we have public speaking, people are afraid, usually afraid of public speaking. Yes, they are afraid of making mistakes. So even before they have started public speaking, even before they started saying something, they already think about the future, think about possible mistakes that they may make. Of course, they haven't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet. And they already are not in the present moment. They are somewhere in the future, thinking that, okay, if I make a mistake, somebody will laugh at me. This is a very popular thing that happens to people. I have had around 1,000 individual sessions, let's say, with my clients, and they face fear. So mindfulness wants to relieve you. Let's say this concept wants to put you here and now so that you don't drag the past, because what has happened has already happened. You can't change it. Could you do it in a better way? This concept of mindfulness states that you couldn't. Just think about it. Because usually we think, yeah, I should have done it. Mindfulness says, if you didn't do it, then you couldn't do it. You did it in the best possible way. There was no other option to do it, yes? With your knowledge that you had in the past, you made the best possible decision. Just put it aside, live here and now. So what it is, this living here and now? When people go to forest for a walk, not very many people are actually in the forest. They are in the forest with their bodies, but their head is somewhere else. In the office, answering emails maybe, or thinking about some phone calls to be made. So they are in the forest, but they aren't in the forest. So still, we are in a vicious circle of thoughts coming back and haunting us, let's say. So ask again this question to yourselves. When I'm in a forest, am I in a forest? This is really crucial. Or just go to a forest and check whether you are there with your mind, what your mindset is. Some people have something like this. They want to go to sleep. they are in bed, they close their eyes, and then they start to analyze the day, if they, again, could have done, maybe they could have done something better, maybe thinking about tomorrow. So tomorrow hasn't arrived yet. Past has already gone. And again, people tend not to be, they are in bed, but they are not in bed. Again, they are somewhere in the future, creating something. They are in the past, thinking about it, considering it. Again, maybe I could have done something better. So maybe it's not you. You can, again, ask yourself, am I like this? So again, being here and now, this concept says, there is no other time. There is no other time than now. Now is permanent. You know, I'm here now, and 5 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago when I started this lecture, it was now when I started it. So I'm always in now. So actually, my body cannot be anywhere else than in the present moment. But all the time I'm in the present moment. But head tends to go somewhere else. So we are like, let's say, divided, our bodies and our minds. So let's try to put it together so that body is more relaxed. You know, this, as I said, when you are in bed, think about it again. What thoughts come to your heads? Do you have positive information that you give you? Is it neutral or is it negative? Maybe ask yourself questions whether you are optimists, realists, or pessimists. I have found out that usually people who are pessimistic, they say that they are realistic. Usually this is the answer when somebody says, yeah, I'm realistic. Yeah? So then if I ask something about the goals they have, they say, probably I will not make it. Okay, so this is realistic. Yeah, this is realistic. So whether you are an optimist, a pessimist, or this dialogue, this internal dialogue is really important. So when we start to talk about mindfulness, about being here and now, about not fearing the future, you know, the anticipation of future is something that really bothers people. So when you are here and now, your body should be relaxed, because what can happen now in this moment? Yes, let's say you are safe, sitting, not creating bad things, let's say, or bad scenarios in your heads. So how to put yourself in such a situation when your mind gets back to the present moment? First of all, being, you know, to learn it, we have to try to learn being conscious, seeing that our thoughts are somewhere else than here and now. Maybe, you know, when we studied, sometimes when the lectures were not very interesting, maybe our mind used to go somewhere else. So then we can say that we weren't in the present moment. We weren't here and now, we were somewhere else. At the moment, actually, I am in the northern Poland at a basketball camp. I'm a mental coach of 50 basketball players. And yesterday we spoke about mindfulness in sports. This is also a good metaphor for life. We have 50 basketball players, so you can imagine how important it is to stay in the moment during a basketball match, let's say they have to shoot a shot and they miss. They don't score 2 points. They need to come back to the defense, and it happens often that they still think about the previous action, about the previous situation that they missed, that they didn't score. So their game in this very moment, defensive game, is affected by what has just happened. So they are dragging the past moment to the present moment. So they are not here and now, they are still recreating this previous situation. So if we are talking that this is key when we are talking about sports, if this is key when we are talking about sports player, it's key when we are talking about people in general. Think about your fears, if you have any. If you need to do something and you are actually postponing it because of something that you have already created in your head. Some people are afraid of traveling, flying long distance flights, because they already think that something bad will happen. Quantum physics says, I also had a chance to study quantum physics at MIT Boston. So quantum physics says that if you think about something, it has a big chance of happening. The law of attraction. It's not that the opposites attract in quantum physics, but your thoughts can, it's not that they can attract but they can create or help you create what you are thinking about or anticipating. So being mindful, being in the moment, you don't create, as I said, usually negative solutions, negative outcomes, because you are here and now, relaxed, connected with the present moment. So if you want to be in the present moment, if you want to come back when you realize, okay, I'm somewhere else, a good option is to, let's say, take a book. I've got a book here. That's what I said, take a book. So you take it, you touch it, you read a bit, you think about it as an object. Because of course, if we start reading it, then again, we can go somewhere else. But to come back to the present, somewhere else with our heads. But if you want to come back to this very moment, you touch something, you look at something, you check the texture or whatever. So this is the idea that you are here and now, nothing, you carry nothing, no luggage, and something with the past. Of course, if something has happened, if some some experienced from the past, we think it was our mistake, because it sometimes happens. I can see a question from Natalia. So if you made a mistake, you consider something being a mistake, and you learn from it. Of course, learn from that. All that, this is like, our life is a continuous learning process, permanent learning process. I just want to tell you that if we've already made something that we consider being a mistake, and we still come back to it and think about it and think that it was a mistake, it's not a valuable lesson. If you, analyze it, see it, you've learned from it, and you are here and now, not thinking about the past event that, you know, it was maybe traumatic or something like that. If you are not dragging it to the present moment, this is lighter. It's light for you, actually. You feel lighter. So, because imagine something like a train. Let's say that there is a train. And behind a train, you've got coaches. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, so on and so on. So the past events, as Natalia said, mistakes, or as Natalia pointed out, mistakes. If we made a mistake and we still consider it being a mistake, and we still think about it, I could have, should have done something in a better way. It's like a coach behind you. So you are pulling it. Then another event, another event, another event. So we have 22, 23, 24 coaches behind us. So it's getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And if you are anticipating your future and then you are afraid that, you know, the same thing that happened in the past, it can happen again, it means you haven't learned the lesson. You haven't forgiven yourself, because forgiveness is another issue. And then another coach appears in front of you. So you've got 22, 23 coaches behind you because of the past, and then 3, 4, 5. You are pushing 3, 4, 5 to the future, and it's again heavier and heavier. Yes, exactly. So we make a conclusion. We draw a conclusion. If we made a mistake, okay, we need to forgive ourselves. And then you are here and now, you experience here and now without the problems from the past. Of course, you have that in your head. You've already learned about it. But being mindful says you are here and now. You can't do anything else with the past. It has already happened. Be here and now. When you are in the forest, be in the forest. When you are with your husband, wife, fiance, partner, be with this partner. Ask yourself a question. When you eat breakfast, actually, let's try to be in the moment. When you are eating breakfast, are you really eating breakfast? Many people, they are eating breakfast, but they are already at work. So they are not eating breakfast. Already their heads are somewhere else. So being in the moment means when you are eating breakfast, you are eating breakfast, nothing else. Nothing else is attached to this moment. So this is about being mindful, being aware of the present moment. People go on holidays, and the first, second day, they are still slowing down, thinking about the things that they have left. Maybe they didn't do something. So they are not on holidays, they are still at home. Then let's say that the holidays, it's like 7 days long. So the first, the second, the third day, they slow down because they are still thinking about the past, what they left there at home. Fourth day, they are on holiday. They are enjoying themselves, going to the swimming pool, whatever. The sixth and seventh day, they are already thinking about the future because they have to come back, what the duties I have, what I have to do, etc. So 7 days holiday, 1 day they are on holiday actually. Their bodies, 7 days on holidays, but their mind, 1 day, the fourth day, because the first, second, third, they were slowing down, thinking about, the duties that they left. And then the sixth and the seventh day, they are thinking about what they have to do or what they will have to do when they come back. So be here, because there is no other place that we can actually be. When I'm here, I can't be there, you know, even if I go to your university, I will be here. For me, it will be here. So all the time, I actually am here. There's no other here than my here for me. There's no other now than I'm permanently in now. But the question is whether your head is in the now moment. Breathing is something that helps you, you know, focusing on breath. When we think about Eastern philosophies, Zen philosophy, actually sitting in Zazen, this is, you know, you sit, you breathe, and you focus on inhaling and exhaling, and you are just you and your breath. And this is a relaxation technique, or it should be a relaxation technique. Because why I said that it should be, because now, you know, the world is getting faster and faster. And because of that, the pace sometimes is ridiculous. We have so many tasks to be done. So actually, when we start to sit and relax, you know, this is like, let's say, meditation, which is also a thing that's becoming more and more popular. Somebody wants to meditate or sit in Zazen or just breathe and think about breath. They start to sit, they say, okay, let's say 10 minutes, let's start. And after 30 seconds, they go like, okay, I should call him. Have I answered this email? So this is not being here and now. This is again about the thoughts that keep coming back. And instead of being in the present moment, which gives relaxation, should give relaxation, we are not in here and now. How to recall a moment when you were here and now, because I'm sure there have been plenty moments like that. Imagine something that you did that is your passion, is your hobby. You know, some people love skiing, dancing, whatever. So when you are, let's say, skiing, let's take that. So when you ski, you just ski. There are your skis, snow, the slope, nothing else. Nothing else exists. This is being here and now. When you are dancing, you are just dancing. You hear the music this very moment, and you are in the present moment. There's no other moment than this. And you feel that nothing else exists, or only you, your partner, and the dance exists. Because this is the key, actually, the key of dancing, or the key of listening to the music. You listen to the music in every moment. Because if the point of music was just to come to the end of a song, the best artist would be those who would just sing the last note or the last word. So the fastest, yes? So the key is to listen to it and be in every moment. So this concept of mindfulness has appeared as something to make us relax more, to find out that past has already gone, that future hasn't arrived yet, that the only time there is, it is now, that now is permanent, and the only decision that we can make isn't somewhere in the future. It is now, because now we can make a decision what we want to do, what we are doing, what we are thinking about. So if we have, coming back to what Natalia has been pointing out about the mistakes in the past and experiences, new experiences, if we consider our actions from the past as mistakes, and we have maybe some traumas from the past, it's good to look into it, to work on it, to help ourselves to let that go, learn from it. But it's not like, you know, you made a mistake in the past. You shouldn't have a whip in your head and, you know, hit yourself, because it's not the key. The key is try to be here and now, focus on what you can do now, on, you know, on the present moment. And when you are in the forest, just let's think about this. Let's try to bear this in mind. When you are in the forest, be in the forest. This is the key to relaxation. This is the key of mindfulness concept. If you see that you went somewhere else with your head, focus on what you can feel this very moment, what you can see now, then you will come back to this very moment. And it will definitely help. You have to learn it because it demands practice, but it's really worth a while. So thank you for this part. And I think now, Joanna.
Yes. So good morning, everyone.
So thank you.
Thank you. I think mindfulness is very much related to success in learning, because it's part of our academic life and academic work. Well, in my part of today's presentation and lecture, I would like to talk about first the theory of learning success and what is the academic achievement, what is seen and understood as academic success, because we are all working at academic levels. I would also like to talk about the successful learner. What is the general characteristic of a person who is seen and can be named and labeled a successful learner? I would like to give some of my personal experience, which I had last week, and I would like to talk about it, which was me put in the position of a learner for a change. And I would like to also have as a final summary of the meeting, I would like to tell you what one of the biggest minds, like Bill Gates, has to say about the success in learning. So these are the major points I would like to make today in my presentation. I would like to talk about the theory first. So I think we should first base our success on our natural abilities. Our natural abilities have a very strong effect on learning. We either have them or not. These cannot be trained. These cannot be bought. So if you are naturally talented, then it's easier for you to learn new things and improve the skills. So you may say you are the lucky user of your inborn features and all talents. Of course, talented people have to put quite a lot of work into, well, usually a lot of work into the work and success, but they usually figure out easily how to make this process more effective. If they are, if they have all those abilities, then this is a form of base to go further and to move on. Of course, you may be incredibly talented and achieve nothing, but I think this is quite a rare case in many situations. There are many crucial skills that are important to be considered a successful learner. But as I said, these abilities cannot innately guarantee any success. And on the other hand, they cannot prevent us from reaching our academic goals. There are many features which are also important when gaining academic success. They are self-discipline. It's somehow even more important, very usually more important than your natural talents. You should be organized, purposeful. You should be self-driven and you should be the predictor of your achievement. If you combine those features of natural abilities and your self-organization and self-discipline, then you are bound to succeed. So it's also important how much effort you put into your learning, and how much you feel that you can optimize your learning process. So it's also if you are competitive or not. In all spheres of academic life, we compete with others. We compete with our colleagues. Sometimes we even compete with the teachers, which is not a very rare case. And we should have a very clear goals for establishing our success seen as a goal, and to be able to steer towards this. How can we optimize the learning process? If we optimize it well and we organize it, then the learning process may be more effective. As we cannot control our natural abilities, we should put more effort into studying in a smart way. Well, what is the smart way is very individual matter, I think. We can increase the enjoyment of learning. We can increase the effectiveness of the learning process. We can space our learning, so learn in a way that suits us in good environment, and we can be. It can allow us to be more successful when we emphasize this fact, regardless of the fact of our talent. What is the role of environment? Well, I think it's quite important and significant, as if you have a bad learning environment, like for example, you're sitting in a room with loud and distracting noises, then you may feel that you are stressed, that you are not studying, that you need silence. Well, some people can learn with music in the background, but I think it's a distractor usually, because it's like, that's what Dr. Miziołek said, it's like being here and now. Like in this case of mindfulness, it's also important to concentrate on what we do in the right moment. So what are the general implications of what I have just said? There are the three major factors. The first one is how naturally gifted we are. So this is our base. How much effort we put into learning, and how we optimize the learning process at our level, whether we are learners or teachers. So we should be trying to study in the smartest way possible. To be very practical, because I like giving examples and be a practical teacher. Optimizing the learning process is like asking ourselves several questions. The first one is what I am doing efficient? So am I an efficient learner? So if I'm learning the material in the way that gives me the best results, is what I am doing effective? So is this method good for me? Is it relevant for me at this moment? Maybe there is another way or method to choose, and I should try to use it. And we can also use different aspects of speeding up learning. One is called interleaving. Interleaving is mixing together different topics, which is maybe not very easy, but working with students at academic level, we can try this, also encourage our students as teachers, because success, I think, may be coming from teachers, first of all, to show our students how to learn successfully. So interleaving is choosing and mixing different topics to learn. We can also take advantage of the phenomenon called the teaching method. So the students pretend that he or she is teaching someone the subject, and he or she tries to learn the material in a way that it's like he or she is going to convey this information to others. We should also focus on knowledge building method. So it's the analyzing method of our material, reconstructing different sections and drawing connections between different parts, which may not be always easy, but somehow it helps us to predict our learning. We may also use quite a lot of writing with this. That's what I did, that I did a lot of writing, sketching, when there was quite a lot of new information coming in. What we should avoid at that stage, we should avoid premature optimization, which means that we set a goal too early before our task. Let's imagine that we go on holiday to Egypt and we plan to do some diving. And before our trip, before our holiday, we buy some diving equipment, which costs thousands. And we spend all that money because we somehow plan and optimize our success at diving, which is premature optimization in that case, because we may spend resources on something which we may not totally enjoy, and we may be wasting our resources and be distracted from the very process itself. So I think we should also be careful with timing at the moment when we do the planned activity. So what is my summary of this part of my presentation? Our learning outcomes are based on the talents, on the effort, and the optimization of the learning process. Natural ability is only one factor which cannot change, while all the others can change, and we are the actors. We are have the power to influence them. Effort is also one of the very important factors that we can control, and it's usually seen as the base of our success. However, the most important factor seen by many scientists is the optimization of the learning process. So the tools that we use in order to learn and to mix all those techniques. As I mentioned, the role of the teachers, the tutors, have a very powerful place here, because the teachers can increase the learner's autonomy in the classroom. In language learning, because this is my major field of interest, in language learning, we call it the teacher talking time and student talking time, the TTT and STT. The more student talking time we allow, the better results we should achieve in learning a foreign language. What else can we do as teachers, as tutors? I think number one, we should stop spoon feeding. So feeding information straight into our learner's mouth. We should, the students should be accustomed to the situation when they themselves have to find information, have to look for details. This will also help them develop independence. Another point is that teachers should implement autonomy of learners. So students need to learn to be independent, and they should know how to use the information, how to seek information. They also should be able to seek advice in academic teachers. And the teachers should be seen as those who give guidance, who are guides to information. The increased responsibility of learners is another aspect. When we want to have truly motivated and ambitious students who are successful at what they do, they should be given responsibility for their actions, for their research. All of these processes should start early. The question is, how early should the processes start? I don't think they should start as early as primary school, but I guess at the level of secondary school, secondary education is the right moment to set some tasks to students and pupils who should be given some coursework or revision work to undergo and do independently. So independent projects may be like organizing presentations and speeches, lectures, and quite even now with the time of online education, we can do quite a lot of things to offer to learners to offer them independent work. I think we should always encourage creativity of students. Even if they make mistakes, they are allowed to at that moment of education. We should increase this freedom of academic research and let the students expand their minds, because it's the only way to adapt to the wealth of information that we are faced with. Well, usually talking about academic success, we also ask ourselves questions: what is the definition of academic success and academic achievement? I think it's being able to meet the institution's demands and expectations. They are very different from institution to institution. Well, the rule is, I think, quite universal, that the students need to obtain knowledge and pass exams and get their final degrees, which is like a frame or like an international framework for all universities globally. Well, it should also, I think, include the identification of the success by the students themselves, whether they can say they have successfully achieved their goals, if they are happy with what they have achieved. And students may look at their academic success quite differently. So depending on how we look at this, there are many different thoughts that can be used in academic success definition. It's also the importance of our own personal experience is quite a big element of this. The academic success can be divided into parts of the intrinsic factors, those coming from our inner self, like if we have the self-management, the motivation, personal skills, if we can act and take responsibility of our learning, deal with different setbacks, if we can judge and evaluate our own abilities without vaguing our own picture and our own knowledge. Motivation, if we have this is also the intrinsic, the inner factor of the success and academic achievement. So in higher education, motivation to keep on researching is quite a big part of being a successful learner. The communication and time management, these all make up for the major group of the intrinsic factors of academic achievement. The extrinsic factors, those which come from the outside world, is the support which is available, the support we have in our academic teachers, in our institution as well. What is the quality of our resources? If our staff is available for the student and if the students get the right feedback. So the support structure, which is beyond the knowledge, is very important to, and it's offered by the tutors, it's very important to somehow create a good background for our students. So I think in the intrinsic and extrinsic factors are very much interrelated, and these combine the model of the perfect university, but we know that the perfect world does not really exist. Well, what is the way forward to move from that moment? I think academic success, which is perceived by students, is a process. And it's also the end goal. As I mentioned, the final goal and success is receiving the university formal qualifications. Developing employability, which is very important on the present market globally now, is valued highly by the students, because gaining knowledge is not only for the pure theory. It's for something. It's for getting a job and being able to be a successful employee, to become a successful employee. The students must also be aware of their own responsibility that is somehow taking on the process on the way, and they need to be supported to develop their required skills. So those points show that we see the obligations that the students need to be proactive, but not only the students may be imposed some demands and requirements, also the academics, the tutors and teachers must keep in mind very openly, having an open mind, what are the activities needed to be taken on for in the academic environment to form successful learners and to be able to have right attainments. So the university programs globally should incorporate personal skills development. They should include communication, self-presentation, organization, time management, and stress management. The question is if all of these features can be taught, if they can be learned or trained. I guess so, with time, and at university level, all these features may be trained, and maybe it's a challenge for universities to reorganize the classes, not only to teach lots of theory in various subjects, depending on the field, but also to provide the support to students who need to be guided over the years at academic institutions. So managing the high school students imposes quite a lot of student management on universities, particularly those with multiple roles and those who have employment and family commitments. For example, at my university, the Kujawski University in Wroцlawek, where majority of our students are already employed and have family commitments, which means they cannot devote so much time to learning processes as we sometimes expect. So, and many of the classes only run from Friday to Sunday. We call it the extramural system, which is quite popular in solution in Poland for those who work, who are already have jobs. So the organization and time management of this system of education is even more complicated, but we try to offer support to students who need that. Talking about academic achievement, that by definition, academic achievement represents the performance outcomes that indicate the extent to which the person has accomplished specific goals that were the focus of activities of instruction, especially at academic level, college or university level. So we judge and we evaluate the acquisition of knowledge. So the academic achievement must be seen as a construction which contains different domains of learning. So the definition of academic achievement depends on many indicators, as I was mentioning them before. There are many institutions which evaluate the achievement. One of the international organizations is the PISA, it's the Program of International Student Assessment, which is administered by the OECD, the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. So this is not only something that we create ourselves, this is a very set and recognized institution which provides information of different indicators of successful academic achievement. And in PISA, they utilize the strengths and weaknesses of the national educational system, and they also guide educational policymakers on how they can improve the research, the work, and how they can reconstruct or construct the academic syllabus. syllabi. The successful learner, who is the successful learner? I think the general characteristic is that it is someone who does and who is not passive, so the person who is active. It's also the person who is continuously motivated and is a self-made man, and is reflective and very inventive in the process of continuous self-improvement. And the successful learner is also someone who can apply and use the skills of learning, how to learn in a variety of contexts. At the beginning, I was mentioning that I also would like to talk about my own experience from last week. Last week, I was in Malta and I joined a language course. Well, I know and speak English at the proficiency level because I'm the philology graduate. But I decided to join a language course at my level, which was not my initial plan of this trip. This was under Erasmus program, but I did it. And well, I think I was quite successful because it was a change for me. The change were the surroundings because I was in a new environment. The change was the environment and new teachers and new techniques, and also motivation of some kind of stress, because I think academic change of environment is usually quite stressful, but it's also motivating. So I would put a change as one of the implicators for being a successful learner. So maybe instead of teaching in a class, one day we should go to a forest for our lessons, or maybe we should go outside and have a lesson in a cafe. Why not, if it's allowed by outside regulations? So I guess it has quite a lot of influence on us, where in what place and how we learn, and if we get any motivation from that. About Bill Gates, as I also mentioned him as one of the greatest minds of our time, he said that there are two minds of learners who may be successful and maybe not. One he calls the growth mind. If we have a growth mind connected with growing, we see that we need to develop and we see our potential and how we can organize the growth in our field of academic life. And another is the fixed mind. If we are fixed, we remain at one level and we do not develop because we are happy with what we have and what we have achieved, and we do not make progress. Well, to conclude, I wish you all academic success, not only with your students, but also I think we as academic teachers, because we need quite a lot of motivation to offer this energy and our knowledge to others. And I guess those two will intermingle and will have quite a lot of interfering influence, that if we are successful as teachers, then we can make quite a lot of successful learners. Thank you very much for today.
Щиро дякуємо, шановні пане Джоанна, шановний пан Марцин. Дякую шановним учасникам за вашу участь у сьогоднішньому стажуванні. Протягом цього місяця до 1 серпня ви обов'язково отримаєте збірник тест стажування та сертифікат, який підтверджує участь у стажуванні. Щиро дякую, всім бажаємо гарного літа та відпочинку. До побачення.